Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new 4 augments we received in the Isle River update for Jade, Kullervo, Citrine, and Caliban. I'm going to go in order of strongest to least strongest, which is why we are starting out in Kullervo because I believe his augment is the best of the 4. And his augment is Volatile Recompense. This is an augment for his second ability, and when they first read the description of it, I really didn't think this one was going to be very good because it just sounded like you were going to send out like 10 daggers and they would deal blast damage and status effect. But this is actually going to be a staple mod on Kullervo going forward, because it fixes the one issue that he had, which was survivability, not actually being able to survive. But if you took Kullervo to any decent level, his overguard from Recompense would just get absolutely washed every time you were shot at by enemies. So you would have to cast it over and over. And what Volatile Recompense does is just completely negate that. So typically casting would just send out the 10 daggers, but when you have Recompense, or well, Volatile Recompense, casting the ability will have the daggers fly around you. But as you can see, they are still flying out and still giving me overguard. And in the bottom right, this ability lasts for like a minute long. So I cast this once and then I have a permanently generating overguard gate. Because if you didn't know, you get 0.5 seconds of invulnerability when your overguard breaks. And seeing as this ability constantly gives it, Kullervo is now immortal. And like I said, this was his one big issue. He could deal some of the most damage in the entire game. We all know that. That wasn't surprising at all. What was a little bit of an issue on him was his survivability, and this augment just completely negates that. The actual blast end status effect thing is really useless. It does provide a little bit of crowd control, but it's really just having Recompense now be a duration-based ability that constantly gives you overguard that makes this augment a must put on him, because you build just any amount of duration, and I have 227, which is aggressively high because this is just a build for going around and spamming melee, not even using curse much. Because you are meleeing, the 6.32 meter radius on Recompense is not a problem. You're right up in enemies' faces. But it will last for 56.63 seconds, which is ridiculous. One cast every minute to become immortal is like Revenant levels of survivability, except this isn't Revenant, this is Kullervo with the Wrathful Advance, Collective Curse, Roar, his passive. Yeah, this augment is fantastic. You're not really going to find much better than it. And if you're interested in a fantastic Kullervo setup, go watch my Kullervo Perfected video that I released a couple of weeks ago, link in the cards right now. It is a banger of a video. Moving on next, we actually are going to go to Caliban first. Now, I find Caliban and Citrine to be pretty equal in terms of power, and then Jade is kind of really far beneath them because her augment is not very good. But on Caliban, we have Razor Mortar. This is an augment for Razor Gyre, where you will group enemies together while Lethal Progeny's Ortholis will focus fire on them with plus 70% electric damage and fire rate for 6 seconds. So this augment actually interacts with 2 of Caliban's abilities, his Razor Gyre and Lethal Progeny, specifically the Ortholis. The actual functionality of Razor Gyre alone though is you just spin around and you will group all the enemies up into this big little pile right here. And this pull radius is pretty aggressive. He also moves super fast. So you see I'm all the way over here and boom, I just yoinked them. The ability has some other really nice parts of it too though, where it actually refunds part of the energy that you use to cast it 25% per enemy hit. But because you can hit like 20 enemies, you can actually refund way more than you used to cast it, especially if you use 45 efficiency, which makes it cost more. So, 20 times 40 is just a ton of energy. And combined with Nourish, these 2 abilities give you infinite energy. But the Lethal Progeny, tap your 3rd ability to swap them over and summon them in. And it's just these guys. They launch mortars, they do Tau status. The Tau status just makes enemies more vulnerable to status chance in general. But this augment is probably one of my favorite augments in the entire game, just because of how well it interacts with everything in Caliban's kit. Group everything together, and they should nuke the shit out of them. Yeah, so that's not terrible. Electric is going to be really, really good here for a couple of reasons. The enemies get grouped up together very tightly, and electric is an AoE status, so when it gets triggered on all those enemies, when they're all on top of each other, it will deal damage to everyone within 3 meters. The Ortholis also increase status chance vulnerability on enemies with Tau, which means that they take way more electric than you would think. But the key to this puzzle is adding in Nourish, because Nourish is a team-wide buff and can actually benefit the Ortholis. So if I buff them with Nourish, you'll see that now they trigger Tau, and namely Viral, which is really strong. Boom, that's 10 Viral, and look at how much better their damage has already gotten. So if I group them all now, they will, yeah, they just get absolutely nuked. It is kind of ridiculous. Buff them with Nourish, hit them with Razor Gyre, group them all up, and yep, they get cooked alive. Damage here is pretty good because you can actually scale the fire rate and damage bonus alongside the duration, but one missing piece of the puzzle here is Fusion Strike, which we are going to use to create a 70-meter wide AoE zone of complete and total armor strip. All these enemies are now armor stripped. We have the Ortholis in here. They're buffed by Nourish. They're triggering electric on all these grouped enemies. They get absolutely nuked. Like, it is absolutely insane how quickly enemies die with this. You can just run around spamming your one, and the Ortholis should nuke everything for you if they decide not to shoot anything because we're in the simulacrum. But the gameplay that I'll show you after this, it just is ridiculous how strong this build is. The game pretty much plays itself for you if you just spam your one. Here's the setup that I'm using. Caliban's Lethal Progeny give him constant shield generation, so Prime Redirection just increases his shield cap, and they pretty much keep you alive very well, especially because Razor Gyre crowd controls everything, and they also are nuking. This is an armor strip. This is a super, super basic build, but it is very, very fun and very powerful. I would say Caliban is probably the best minion build in the game right now, because Ortholis are really, really good. This makes them even better. Nourish can buff them. This is probably my favorite summon build in the game. Might make a full video on this. Who knows? After Caliban, we are going to move over to Citrine. Now, Citrine probably has the most interesting augment of all of them in my opinion, and it is Prismatic Companion, which just attaches your prismatic gem to your free moving companion and gives it plus 50% duration, which sounds very basic, but the possibilities that this opens up is pretty much endless. So I just took off my companion and actually removed the mod just to show you how this one works in general. Casting will deposit a gem that when you damage enemies, the gem will hit them with a status beam and prime them with a ton of different statuses. Power here is that Condition Overload is a mod we have, and this will just boost it to numbers that are so insanely high, you deal so much damage. Also, the gem does look a little bit different with her deluxe skin, which is sick. But anyways, the reason that nobody used this was because it was stationary and only had a 30-meter range. But if you can attach this to your free moving companion, which means you must attach it to a beast and not a drone or sentinel, that's what those things are called, it will move around with you and create a big zone of priming everywhere you go. I have attached it to Maggie now, and boom, there you go. You can see. So when I start to attack these enemies, the priming comes with me. And using this on the brand new Araxia melee, the Spinarex is probably my favorite build in the game at the moment, just because of how ridiculous it is. I absolutely love it. And it gets even better when you add in her fourth ability with the Recrystallize augment, because I'm on a full status damage build right now with no critical chance. But adding this in will create these crystals on enemies, and because I'm using a whip, the whip will hit the crystals because it has a massive hitbox and just absolutely cook enemies. And the benefit about Recrystallize is that enemies killed will spread the crystals to those within 16 meters, and that obviously scales with range. So you will just spread around a 300% critical chance bonus for your melee just by killing things. Your gem also comes with you now. This is probably one of the strongest melee builds in the game because you have ridiculous priming. and you have 3 red crits, and whips are probably one of the best melees to use this with because they have such massive like swings. And yeah, I just like, it is so absurdly strong. Pair that with everything else Citrine does, like give you infinite energy generation, 90% DR, and health regeneration. And then obviously we've talked about these two. Whatever companion you want to use this with is kind of up to you. But if you see on my Citrine, I actually have Mecha Empowered and Mecha Pulse here for the Mecha set, which is really, really important because the Mecha mods are super broken. Use them on a Kubro or a Predacite and you will just kind of like cook everything. It is honestly insane. The only reason I don't have the Archon mods on right now is just because I didn't have the capacity, but obviously use Archon Continuity. Stretch doesn't have a place here, but you don't really need it. Same with Vitality and Intensify. Here is the build on the Spinnerex in case you are wondering. Just Viral Electricity. You obviously get all of our critical chance from Recrystallize. Moving on to the very last augment here, and we have Jade. And the reason I don't actually have a full setup on her for this is because the augment is kind of bad, but thematically it's really cool. When Jade came out last year, she also released with a brand new Eximus type, the Jade Light Eximus, who have had the ability to summon these annoying beams of green death energy above us for the past year and a half, or however long that update's been out. Now we can use them against them, except they kind of suck. So this is tied to her first ability, and gives you a very, very small chance and a super low duration on them at that to, when enemies are damaged by your one ability, spawn a Jade Light above them. Boom. So they're going to get these Jade Lights, but they don't last for very long, and the damage they do is ass. Consider that Jade also can go in glory, alt fire with her one, and just deal way more damage with a proper setup, which I don't even think I have on. And it is just not really like that useful. Sure, if we utilize her entire kit to try to buff them, which I think is giving the augment too much credit, we will get Power of the 7 for more ability strength. I will throw another one here. We will toggle Ophidim Eyes to armor strip them. And still, the damage is, when the enemies are fully armor stripped, pretty bad. This augment is not very good. Its damage needs to be like quadrupled for it to actually be worth using, because Jade has just really, really good glory builds. And I don't really see much of a reason to use this one when you will just nuke enemies with her 1 and 4 combo even quicker. So yeah, this one isn't that great. Super cool, maybe fun for low levels, or if you're just trying to Jade Light Eximus kill everything, but it's not actually that good of an arcane. I don't know why I said arcane. It's not that good of an augment mod, but it's one of those weird things where it fits the theme of an augment mod perfectly, because like this is what an augment should be. Give us access to something random that changes her playstyle. It just sucks that it's kind of ass, because this would be super cool, like a spam her 1 build but not just nuke with her 4 to Jade Light kill every enemy. I only wish it was good. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video. I know I keep saying that the next video I post will be edited, but I keep finding things that I want to talk about. I don't really have the time to make a fully edited video. Trust me, that content isn't going anywhere. It's just like for the early update rush of content, I have to just do these style of videos. I hope you guys don't mind. Thank you, and I will see you very soon. Peace.